You guys kind of surprised everyone with the somewhat recent addition of Ryu Hazuki as a playable character in the game. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you guys actually had to do and what you had to go through to actually, bring him into the game and get that to come to fruition?
Right, so this is a long story, and I have to be careful how I phrase something of this. So, if you remember, I mean, just to give a background to this, a lot of people are familiar with the game and familiar with the community will probably know, but sometime in December in 2011, shortly after the game was released on consoles, there was a whole list of list threads on the forums, which was like guys were going like, these guys should be in the game. And these guys should be game, and these guys, and everybody who did a list did a totally different list, and nobody agreed with anybody else and all the rest of it. So, in an attempt to explain how difficult it was to come up with a roster for the game, I set a little challenge, thinking this will amount to nothing. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what, if you can all get together, agree on a short list of characters, and then show me that each one of the characters you decided, once you've got this agreed list, any of the characters which get 1,000 votes and you can demonstrate with some proper data that I can use, I will go to Sega and see if I can make it happen. And of course, at that time, I thought this is never going to happen. they'll never pull together. They'll never sort things out. They won't get organised, and it'll all come to nothing. And I'm safe. I don't have to worry about it. And much to my surprise, what actually happened was the fan base got together and they coordinated themselves and they agreed some rules. They had a great thread. If you go on the Sega forums, you can still find the thread now, which is where people were voting for which characters to be in. And I think there was like 500 pages of arguments on that. That was great. And as I watched it, it turned into this beast. And the next thing I know, it was on gaming sites. Vote for your favourite Sega characters. It was all across Europe, and it was like major sites. We're talking Kotaku and IGN and all this kind of stuff. So I was somewhat terrified at this point. But I said, okay, let's see it through, and we saw it through, and we told Sega what was happening, so they were aware of it, and we got to a poll. And I think, before it had finished, the crazy thing was, before the poll had even finished, we guaranteed, I said, Rio's going to win this. Rio's going to win it by a country mile. So we started do vehicle concepts for Rio. What would we do? And we toyed around with various ideas. Can we make a transforming forklift? Can we do bits and things? And we came with this idea. We went, okay, what if they were all Sega cabinets and they were all based on games you play in Shenmue? So it's the Iron Cabinet, the Space Harrier cabinet, the Hammer Cabinet. Can we make a vehicle out of these cabinets, make it work? And of course, I don't know if you've seen, the guy did an AR car based off of Outrun. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
A real Outrun cabinet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that obviously inspired us as well. And we took this kind of idea and we set off, and lo and behold, even before the poll had finished, we got a set of concept art together and we fired it across to Sega Japan. And we said, is this even going to fly? And we were a little bit worried because we thought they might think we weren't treating the IP with respect. They might think, what's this? What's this going to do with Shenmue? And they were on board with it straight away. They went, oh, this is great.
Oh, cool.
Suggested a few tweaks. Can we make sure the screen's animated? Can we make sure we've got sound effects? Can we make sure we've got the characters and all the rest of it? So we actually got that back, and the poll results came through, and thankfully Rio did win, which was good. And so the original plan was to build him into the game updates we did on console, which were scheduled then for June the 14th, which would have been Valentine's Day. June the 14th, February the 14th. Like, it's only tomorrow. Good God, do you think I remember that? So it was going to be put in the game. So we actually started work on it, but the bug fixing and various other bits and pieces and the feedback we got back in the PC version were taking a lot of time. And Sega at the time said, we think it's probably better to get an update out to fix those issues first, and we'll come back for the DLC. So we parked it and went, okay, we'll do that. We parked it, and at that point, it stayed on the shelf. We got the updates. We went through all the process, and they took a bit of time. And then we started on the Japanese version and bits and pieces, and so it just sat there, partially done and not completed. Now, in the meantime, of course, Sega commissioned us to do some other characters. They did some stuff for the PC. So we did, General Winter from Total War, Wilhelmus from Total War, and then, of course, Yogscast, which everybody loves. That was great. But I always knew in my back pocket I got Rio there, and I was basically convincing Sega, we should do this, we should finish this off. And with the mobile version, it gave me an opportunity to go, do you know what, let's get it off the shelf, let's get it finished, and let's get it sorted out. And in a way, what happened with Yogscast was, it got quite a large outcry from the kind of core Sega fans, and they were going, "We don't want this. We don't want this in our game," kind of thing. And the guys out at Sega went, can you have Rio kind of half finished? Couldn't we finish that off and get it done? And at this point, they'd actually got it in and working for the mobile version. I went, well, it's funny you should mention that because I've got this. And what about we do this on PC? So while the Oxcast thing was coming out, we were actually finishing Rio off, trying to get it sorted out. We got it into the PC version, we got it into the mobile version. And I know there's a lot of people are going like, is it coming to consoles? And in a minute, it's not off the table. It's a conversation we're having with Sega, trying to get it down. But it actually allowed us finally to get the damn thing out. And it would have been out, it would have been brilliant. It would have been out for Christmas Day.
Oh, man.
Had it all set up, ready to go. We had to do some last-minute changes just based off approvals feedback. There were a few concerns about, whether we got the cabinets just right and whether the animated stuff was just right. And so it slipped a little bit until the mobile version came out. Huge controversy. It's like, how come the mobile version's got this and the others out? And they're like, don't worry, it's coming. And then, of course, we managed to get it out not long afterwards. So it's nice that it's out there, and it's been a real labour of love, from Moores and Sega trying to get it in there. And not so much anything else. If you look at it, this is going to be, I think, the first time I can physically point to something major that a fan petition has ever pulled off and got into a game. So, it's because of that passion we had from the fans, and because we didn't want to let them down, we finally got it in. But it's been a long road. Oh, God. So I'm not sure it's a precedent I want to repeat.
So fan petitions can make a difference, apparently.
In this case, I think in this case, and especially because it was something we wanted to do as well. And I think if we look at it, I think we can acknowledge it was maybe something we should have had in the main game. But when you've got so many characters and so many vehicles to build, and we struggled a lot. We're trying to find an idea which worked in terms of like what can we do which is going to work and fit for Rio. And when we did the original character pictures, everyone was so fixated on the forklift, not just at Sumo but at Sega, that we couldn't really see past it. It weren't until like we had the inspiration, like, oh, I've got an idea, this is actually going to work, and then we got the approvals, and then it all went through. Like, okay, now we can do it, and now we can do it justice. So it's been a long road, but I'm glad to get it out.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Speaking, you mentioned Yogscast a little bit ago. That's actually how we found out that Ryu was actually in. So when they were streaming his character, we actually were able to see Ryu in it as well. Can you tell me a little bit about the reaction was within Sumo when that happened? I mean, you guys had to be like, oh my God, what the hell?
So bear in mind, at this time it was we knew it was happening because we were doing it.
Right.
And what happened is, basically on Steam you have a series of branches. We have like the branch that all the public plays on. We have an internal branch we use for testing, and then we have a separate branch we use to send things out to approval, to whoever. So we've used it to send things to Creative Assembly, we've used it to Yogscast and everybody else. And all that had happened is we'd been requested by Sega to send a new build to QA, and the Yogscast people were on the QA branch just completely by accident. So when I pushed the build live, that night they streamed it, they had actually got the QA build, which was ready for QA to start testing. It wasn't finished at this point, it was actually work in progress. Which it was somewhat embarrassing when, because I think I was watching the Yogscast thing actually later on in the night, and I went, oh, hang on, what's going on here? And they go, oh no! So we had to rectify that situation rather quickly. So I mean, to be fair to the Yogscast guys, well, it's not their fault, They'd supported us. They were keen in trying to get Yogscast in. They loved the game so much. That's why they wanted the character in the game for charity and for special effects. And it was just an admin error basically. But the crazy thing was, in a way, it was nice for people at least stopped complaining and shouting at me about Yogscast on the Steam forums, on the Sega forums, because they went, oh, hang on, there's something else coming. They weren't telling Porcupines, because we were saying, like, there's something coming, bear with us, there's something coming.
Right.
But yeah, oops. These things happen.
That was pretty good. Going back to Ryu a little bit, one of the other things that kind of stirred a little bit of controversy was Ryu's license plate that had Shin 3 on it. But apparently that isn't or was never meant to be any sort of tease that Shenmue 3 is actually coming. That was more as kind of just like an inside joke from Sumo Digital. Is that right?
Well, yeah, it was just an inside joke. Because we got the car, I'm like, needs a number plate. What do we put in it? I'm like, I don't know, put Shen 3 or something like that. It'll be an in joke. The thing was, we did it just as an in-joke, because obviously every time, the thing which always makes me laugh about Sega fans is, whenever Sega announced something, be it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, within 3 posts, somebody will go, Shenmue 3? It's insane. And you know, I would love to see Shenmue 3. This is the first one. Let me get it. We didn't do it to upset or offend everyone.
Right.
A few people have took offense to it, and you know, you've got to take it in the spirit of the game. The game is very tongue-in-cheek. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable and an arcade experience. And because we put something like that in, it wasn't us trolling the Sega fans. It was us just showing us love for Sega. What else would you have put on the number? Yu Suzuki, maybe? I don't know.
Right. What can you tell me what feedback you got from Sega within that? Like Sega of Japan, did they have any laughs about it as well?
What, the number plate? They laughed when I sent them the number plate. Yeah. I sent them the number plate and went, please, this is an indication. If you want to do Shenmue 3, the number plate's a clue. You can do it if you like. No, they just thought it was in spirit with the character.
Oh, awesome.
I'm not sure what they made of the reaction. I think any time they see Shenmue 3 news, they're kind of going, yeah, we know. So, I don't know. They've not taken it in bad grace. They just thought it was just a fun little in-joke. So.
Okay, awesome. I promised one of our writers, Kopke, that I would ask this question because this is something that he noticed in the game. Apparently, Ryu has a Saturn mod in the game instead of a Dreamcast mod. So can you tell us a little bit about why? Was there any particular reason behind that? Why he would have a Saturn mod instead of a Dreamcast mod, in which he was actually, you know, his game was on the Dreamcast instead of a Saturn?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 reasons. The first reason is that Shenmue started life on the Saturn. In fact, if you go on YouTube, you can actually find footage of the Saturn version of it before it was moved across, quite famously. The second and more mundane reason is every mod in the game can only have 7 characters assigned to it, because otherwise they don't appear on the UI. So we couldn't get it on the Dreamcast mod because we got the 7 characters there already. So we went, Saturn makes sense. The same reason Willimus, you know, he's a Roman character. So we went, well, Saturn's a Roman god. So that's okay, you can go into that one as well. So we just try and spread them around. The other thing is, from a purely gameplay point of view, each mod has a gameplay effect, and it just balanced the game out nicely.